it's Tony from Cassette. Come back and welcome to day 5 of 7 cassettes in 7 days. And today we're going to look at this, an Excel Studio Grade Ferric. So, type 1. Now, Studio Grade, a lot of people put that in, you know, Studio Grade, but I couldn't but notice looking at this that, what was it? Oh, the light. It's from 1998, and studios in 1998 I think would have probably been burning to CDs to give out and not onto cassettes or type 1 ferrics. But anyway, so let's have a look at the back of this. Advanced high density doped ferric pigment. Okay, so we could have cobalt doped super ferric, precision anti-resonance, yeah, advanced formulation, 2.3 decibels of extra treble headroom. Oh, okay, an extra bass. Equally suited for portable in-car studio and home audio. Professional first draft sonic performance. I don't know what that means, first draft sonic performance, but they've got a nice 3D rendered holography showing the what's that, the treble enhancement, the dynamic range and the bass, and superior above type 1 average, and again it's studio grade. So I've had a look, there's not a lot about this cassette or Excel Magnetics group. Don't really know much about it, so that's why it's interesting to look at. So let's tear it open, let's have a see if the shell or anything else gives it some sort of clues. I reckon this is probably going to be an all clear shell or something. Yes it is. Right, let's have a look. So, normal C90 Excel Studio Grade precision anti-resonance shells. I like the black hubs with little pins in. They're they're late. The shell. Oh, I recognise this shell with this little doobie here and the A there. I'm trying to think what this looks like. Yeah, I've seen this shell. It's a late shell. Could it be BASF or something? I'm not sure off the top of my head. I've seen so many cassettes, I can't remember. But yeah, I've seen this shell before. So let's have a look at the actual tape, because it's saying that this is cobalt dope. Let's have a see, and it's certainly from first looks. Yeah, that's very, very dark for a ferric. If I didn't know better, I'd say that was a type 2. To be honest with you, it's well calendared, but yeah, for a type 1, that's really dark. So let's have a look at the J card, etc. Let's have a look. So I'm very keen on the Excel branding, just a plain sticker there, and yes, about as plain and uninteresting a J card that you could possibly have, but pleasant enough. I mean, some of these late ferrics, you know, the good late ferric formulations are some of the best ferrics ever. I mean, you know, I think the tape in the late TDKDs, etc., and HFs were about as good as they ever got. So guess the only thing to do now is fire up a deck. Let's get it calibrated up, and let's see if this is a super ferric or if it's just a lot of hyperbole. Right, we're going to use the CR7 for this today, so let's take it, bang it in, and let's hope it auto calibrates. I think it should, but let's see. Oh yeah, people have said, oh, I'm glad you've still got your CR7. The CR7's going nowhere. I love the CR7, and this particular one, I mentioned below, I believe a lot in omens and stuff. This CR7, apart from the fact that I've got the original box and the instruction manual and the remote for it and everything, was actually bought, and I have the original sales invoice, it was actually bought on the day that was my 10th birthday. And it just, I don't know, it just sort of seems like an omen. So this deck's going nowhere. This will be the last one I sell. So, calibrate it up. So this reckons it's a super ferric. I'm going to try recording Synergy again, but I'm going to have it peaking at around about +5. So, which is normally where I'd run a super ferric. Let's see if it distorts like hell, or whether it does actually have the cobalt doping, which the very black tape seems to think it does. So, right. Synergy again, let's get it recorded and we'll take it from there. Unknown brand, really. Late, cheap, sort of looking duplicated shell, very black tape. But my goodness, how good did that sound? Wow. A lot of this hobby is nostalgia. It is, it's a nostalgia. It's not that we really sometimes miss cassettes. We miss who we were and the world that we lived in when we were using cassettes. We miss being young. You know, every time I make a mixtape on something like, you know, this, I'm not making a mixtape for now, I'm making a mixtape from when I was 12, 13-year-old for that girl I fancied. And that cassette really brings a lot of that back. And that's why a lot of the vintage cassettes, a lot of the well-recognised cassettes are so treasured and raise so much money, and quite rightly so. And the likes of this from an unknown brand that's late, that's got cheap accoutrements, you know, cheap case, cheap J-card, cheap shell, are overlooked and not really thought of all that greatly. But I'll stick my neck out here and I will say this sounded as good as any top of the line Super Ferric that I've ever listened to. I mean, look at that tape, that is so black. It makes me almost want to try and run this as a Type 2 and see if it actually can operate as a Type 2. And you know what? I'm going to do that. Bear with me a second. That's the thing when I fly by the seat of my pants in most of these videos. I just get thoughts while I'm doing it. So we're back at the CR7, and that's one of the benefits of this deck, if I show you. If you look down here, you can select a manual tape EQ on or off. So I've set the manual tape EQ to be on, and I press the SX button up here, and as we can see now, even though there's no tape in it, oh, this stupid camera, it's an SX tape, which is type 2 in Nakamichi terms, at 70 microseconds. So I guess first things first is let's take the Excel again and let's see if it can actually calibrate it. And yes, it's calibrated it as a type 2. Right, well, that's a surprise, and a nice surprise. Let's go and play Synergy again and see how it sounds as a type 2 as opposed to a type 1. Okay, we're not going to take it all the way to the end now. So, the mids seemed a bit lacking, but my God, we've got a type 1 cassette here that calibrated successfully as a type 2, and I've heard worse dedicated type 2s than that. So now that's what's just popped into my head, is if I turn the manual tape off now. So this has been recorded as a type 2. I'm curious to hear now how it will play back as recorded at, you know, at 70 microseconds, how it sounds being played back at 120 microseconds type 1. So let's just rewind it a bit and just have a listen, see if it sounds terrible or if it sounds okay. Right, so listen. Let's go back to the desk and talk a bit more about this remarkable cassette. Bing bong scooby doo, beep dee dee, bing bong scooby doo, beep dee dee. Yeah, try and do a copyright claim on that in 5 years, you bastards. So, yeah, as a type 1, it's up there with the best Super Ferrics I've ever used, but it records also as a type 2, and does a fantastic job of that. And when you record it as a Type 2 and play it back as a Type 1, it does have really enhanced treble, maybe a bit too enhanced, but it's all there. This is a remarkable cassette. Something I never would have guessed for something this late from a brand I've never heard of. I don't know what tape is in this. I wish I could find out, because there's no, place of manufacture on this cassette, and there's no details on the internet really about it, where it's made and who it's for. But this, I was taking the mick out of the studio grade. But if I was using cassettes in the studio and wanted to give like copies to people of what we've done for the day, then yeah, this would be a cassette that will be well worth doing this. Not like the, you've got the Quantigy ones, which are studio cassettes and all that, which are just basically basic ferrics. This is a super ferric in all aspects and all terms, and to be honest with you, it makes me think about if I've got any really nicer shells, Type 1 shells, I can transplant this tape into, which has got tape in which is shot, because this really is tape that is worthy of a better shell. And it's back to what I was saying about nostalgia. This is a late cassette from a brand that no one's really heard of, and it doesn't look fantastic. If you take nostalgia out of the question, this Type 1 is better than most Type 1s that I've ever heard. And just because it's late, if you see them, they'll probably be cheap. Hoover them up. Because like I say, nostalgia plays a big part in this, and sometimes it clouds over actual performance. Would I rather have a Sony HFES or a Fuji FR1 Super? Yeah, because they look cooler and they're worth more. But for sonic performance, this is as good as any ferric Type 1 that I've ever used. And that is not something I thought I would have concluded by the end of this video. So there we go, that is day 5 done. Stay tuned for day 6 tomorrow, but until then, happy taping. Bye bye.